we are going to talk about the second part of the digestive system, which is the small and large intestine.
The small intestine. The small intestine is a motor organ. The nutrients in the digestion and absorption tracts are propelled and crushed to promote contact between the caul and the wall of the intestine. It is the region in which the highest absorption of nutrients occurs. Here also happens the absorption of water and electrolytes. It measures an average of 6 meters, starts in the duodenum, and its last portion connects with the cecum. The enzymes found here are the processes that degrade proteins such as trypsin, chymotrypsin, and carboxypeptidases, the nucleases that degrade the nucleic acids DNA and RNA, and the pancreatic lipase that digest fats. The parts of the small intestine are the duodenum, that is the first and shortest segment of the small intestine. After it receives partially digested food or chyme from the stomach, it is here where they mix with the bile of the gallbladder and digestive juices from the pancreas. Then it is the jejunum, the middle part of the small intestine. It absorbs important nutrients such as sugars, fatty acids, and amino acids. Then they can enter to the bloodstream, where they can then be distributed to the organs of the body.
Then we have the ileum, which is the final and longest segment of the small intestine. It absorbs any final nutrients, with major absorptive products being vitamin B12 and bile acids. The surface of the small intestine is covered in villi. This also includes microvilli that increases the surface of absorption, and this causes the blood and lymphatic vesicles to be closer to the absorbent cell mucosa. This way, the vessel gets nutrients and transports them to other organs depending on what is needed. Every day, more than 6 liters of food and water are absorbed. It takes 4 hours to transit, and what is not assimilated to reach the colon. This is why the daily intestinal absorption capacity is essential.
Now we will talk about the large intestine. The large intestine is a smooth organ measuring about 1.5 meters in length, which is located right below the stomach, and it wraps around the small intestine. It is also the last part of the digestive system. Its main functions include the completion of the digestive process through various enzymes, the production of various vitamins through bacteria, the reabsorption of water and electrolytes from digestive residue, and the temporary storage and expulsion of feces from the body.
Now let's talk about the 4 regions of the large intestine. Let's start with the cecum. The cecum is a bag in which the appendix and the ileocecal valve are located. Then there's the colon. The colon is the longest section of the large intestine and is divided into 3 parts: the ascending, the transverse, and there's the rectum, which is a chamber that begins at the end of the large intestine, followed by the sigmoid colon, and ends at the anus. Ordinarily, the rectum is empty because the stool is stored higher in the descending colon. And finally, there's the anus. The anus opens where the gastrointestinal tract ends and exits the body. It starts at the bottom of the rectum, the last portion of the tissue called fascia surrounds the anus and attaches it to the nearby structures.
Some keywords from these topics are the intestinal polyps, which are accumulations of cells that form in the lining of the colon or rectum. Enzymes. An enzyme, it acts as a catalyst in living organisms, regulating the rate at which chemical reactions proceed without itself being altered in the process. Villi. Any of the small, slender vascular projections that increase the surface area of a membrane. Putrefaction. The decomposition of organic matter by the action of organisms, resulting in the production of foul smell.
We continue with the keywords with the CM. A thick semi-fluid mass of partial digestive fluid and digestive secretion that is formed in the stomach and in an intestine during digestion, like is in the margin. The cephalic. The first phase of ingestion is controlled by the neural response to the stimulus provided by food. All aspects such as sight, scent, and smell trigger the neural responses resulting in salivation and secretion of gastric juices. The gastric and salivary secretion in the cephalic phase can also take place at the flow of food. The diarrhea. The diarrhea is loose, watery, and possibly more frequent bowel movements. Is a common problem in the human. Luckily, diarrhea is usually short-lived, lasting no more than a few days, but when diarrhea lasts for weeks, it usually indicates that there is another problem. If you have diarrhea for weeks or longer, you may have a condition such as irritable bowel disorder or a more serious disorder, such as persistent infection or inflammatory bowel disease. The last keyword is the constipation. The constipation occurs when bowel movements become less frequent and stools become difficult to pass. It happens most often due to changes in diet or routine, or due to the inadequate intake of fiber.
Okay, so now that we know the parts and the functions of this large and small intestine, let's talk about the two most common and known diseases of this intestine. First, we have colitis, which is the inflammation of the large intestine. It may be caused by some medications, maybe stress or parasitic diseases or alterations in the immune system. So it may be dangerous because when it inflammates, it doesn't flow all the food and things that are inside don't flow as they should, and this may cause different infections or inner trouble. So, if you or someone that you know that has this disease, there should be a medical attention because it shouldn't be taken lightly. Next, we have colon cancer. It's a cancer, as we know, it's something that may happen in a lot of parts of the body, but specifically colon cancer as symptoms blood in the stool, changes in patterns of bowel function, diarrhea, or constipation. It is believed also that diet is an important cause of colon cancer, but it isn't 100% certain. But in order to prevent it, you should also have a good diet to be more healthy.
Thank you for your attention.